recall that really quickly in my mind.
No, you're fine. I was like, oh, I'm prepared to go first, and if I'm not, I can't.
No,
so.
that's great.
Hey, welcome everybody. There's one person.
Oh, perfect.
So we've,
And I should have brought my laptop too. I didn't do that.
No, that's okay.
Kim's here with me. She's gonna kick things off and then we'll start off with the presenters. And Kim, when you're taking a step to your right, you'll be on camera.
Right.
And then the mics are pretty much everywhere, so you can just talk normally.
Awesome.
Okay.
Perfect. All right. So I just wanted to say thank you for coming. When we came together as a professional development committee, I'm forgetting exactly when that was right now, but one of the requests we had was for people to share their great ideas about Canvas, and so that we can all learn from one another and maybe pick up some new tips and tricks. We are live streaming this and recording this because we know a lot of things are going on, not the least of which are program chair meetings and things like that. So thank you if you're on live stream for joining us, and we're just going to get things kicked off. We do have a couple of handouts, and those are for Amy's section, so they're right up here. If you want me to pass them out, I can as we go, but we'll go ahead and get started. So, Chris, from the computer to unlog everything. Sure. We'll just do a, I'd like to do a screen share.
This preset button, and then you just log in there.
Okay.
All right, well, while that's logging in, I'm Sonja. I am going to show you guys how I use Pages. So I like to combine everything so that when students are getting on for my online class and they're getting ready for a lecture, they have both a printed packet of handouts that they can print off for themselves, as well as then view a video that is associated with those, so I then organize and combine them. So let me get logged in here. All right, so I'm going to show you in my sandbox. I created a sample of this, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do with it. So to get started, doing this requires that you upload a couple of files to get started. If you're going to combine both a packet of information that's associated with a video, which is what I do, I always make sure that I have the file downloaded already. So as you can see that I've already put on my 2 sets of notes. And then what you're going to do is you're going to come over to Pages and build a page. So I already built one, so I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here. And so this is what my students open up and see. So they see lecture, section 5.1, adding and subtracting polynomials. When they open it up, it just gives a brief little, hey, before you get going on this, what I would recommend that you do is open this up, which is the PDF file, and print it. And so they have this little packet of information, it's just a couple of pages, and it gives them what we're going to be doing along with the example problems, so that, because with math, tends to get a little, hands get a workout writing everything down, and then they can come along and watch the video. So I upload videos via Kaltura, so those are available then on my media. And so what I'm going to do is show you how I actually build a page from start to finish. So the one thing that I do is I try to keep everything as consistent as possible for language, just because students like the familiarity. So I always just highlight and copy it, and then go to Pages, and I'm going to add a page. And this is going to be lecture, section 8.7, which is solve absolute value equations and inequalities. All right, and then down here, I'm just going to paste what I put in. Now, this link that's in there needs to be removed. So you break the link right here, and then I'm going to take out that magnifier because I don't like it. And I'm going to put in what I need. So instead of section 5.1, we are doing section 8.7, which is solve absolute value equations and inequalities. And then I am going to highlight that and come over to files because I uploaded it already. There it is. That's my file name that is associated with it. And so now students will have that link to be able to click on. And then the next step is to come down here and insert my media. So I'm going to embed my Kaltura media. That's the video that I created. And I just have to locate the correct one. There's a few of them, so I just have to find which one that I need. Oh, it should have been on there. There. And I usually insert a large window for it. You could do just a small one, just kind of depends. I like putting the larger one in just so that students can see it very clearly without opening up a full screen if they don't want to. And then final step is to come down here and hit save and publish if you want it opened up to students right away, otherwise just click save. And now students can do the same thing that they were doing. But that way it's one single thing, and what that allows for is when you come over here to modules. So I have this module, I'm gonna open it and I'm gonna add the page. So I'm gonna add that 5.1, actually I'll add the 8.7 that I just did. And so now when students open the page up, they see the prompt for the printable version of the notes and the video right there instead of having two separate things of here's the printable and then here's the video. I don't know about you, but my students would be emailing me all the time asking either where the video is at or where the printable is available at. So putting it all in one thing just makes it a little easier for them to find. So any questions? All right, well that's it. I will log out. And I don't know who's up next. That would be me.
So I have a few different things that I wanted to share today. So yeah, so I made a handout because I have a Padlet that has some code that you might want to copy. So I figured having digital access would be easier than me showing you a bunch of HTML code. So you can access the Padlet by that web address that's at the top, www.padlet.com/ADOTY7/canvas. Or you can use your phone and just scan that QR reader if you would like. And it will take you there. And then the pictures that you see are obviously screenshots from my live modules. So I'll take you to those and show you what they, how students interact with them. And I'll probably walk you through how to create the tabs one, which is the third one. Sorry for the radio silence here. Takes a while to get it. So I like to use Padlet. I think someone else is going to present about how they use Padlet today with their students. I like to use it for presenting and with students too, but I won't talk too much about that since we have someone else giving information. But I am going to share one with you. Okay, so it is the Canvas Power Users. Let's see. Is it okay if I expand this, make it full screen? Okay, not entirely full screen, but that's all right. Look at that. You are a miracle worker. Thank you. Okay, so I wanted to give you a few examples. Obviously, if you click on the example, you're not going to get the example because it's in my shell. But if you click on these bottom links, they will take you to the Canvas orientation where you get the step-by-step instructions. But I'm going to go ahead and click on these so I can show them to you. The first thing that I have put together for all of my courses for each module is a pretty clear overview. Again, like Sonja pointed out, students like familiarity. So each time that we begin a new module, they're going to see this similar image. They are going to know what to expect, and that is that there's going to be a brief summary and overview of things that we're going to explore in this module. And typically, this particular one is for an online class, so I'm going to have a video each week to explain any new kinds of activities or key concepts that they need. I also like to touch base with students pretty frequently, my online students. If this is a face-to-face class, I might have a different video here, a video about a key concept to kind of activate some schema, get them thinking about the kinds of material that we'll be using, but something to kind of introduce that module. And then I like to give them a preview of what we'll be working on. So the readings, the resources, and then of course the assignments that they'll have. Something I'm thinking about doing differently for spring is going ahead and linking these resources and these activities right here in the module overview, so that when students go to their modules page, they see fewer links, because right now each one of these activities is its own link in a module. So I'm thinking of condensing that so that they can access everything right here from this page. Thinking about experimenting with that next term to see how it works. I think it will streamline things just a little bit for students. So if you like that, like if you like the separator lines and things like that, or you want to customize your colors. I'm a color person, and so I wanted it to be vibrant, but I wanted my lines to match. These are some little things, right? But once you do it once, like Sonja said, you can copy and paste those things, so it's really not that big of a deal. And if you like that idea, then you can click on this link, and as long as you're logged in, you should have full access to this, because I would like to take the credit for coming up with this all on my own, but I did not. I was playing around in orientation shell, and I found that. How to add that horizontal rule. If you click on that tab, it will show you how to do that. And if you want to customize your color like I did, you can click on the hex color code, and that will take you to a site where you can choose your color, and then it will give you the code to copy and paste in that horizontal rule thing. So if you're that invested in color like I am, that might be worth your time, because like I said, you only have to do it the one time, and then you can duplicate it for all of the rest of the times you wish to use it. So
when you say horizontal rule, what is that exactly?
So the horizontal rule is kind of a visual break.
That's what I was hoping.
And you can't really, this is a little dim, but this is teal, so I changed the color of it so that it matched with the other colors.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay. And I just used that hex code to figure that out. But yeah, something that I am planning on trying differently in the spring is putting those links right in here and taking them out of the modules. So they'll just be in assignments or pages or different places like that, but not in that direct modules thing. Any questions about this one? Okay. If you do, like I said, you can go to that Padlet, and this will take you right to the spot in your Canvas orientation that will walk you through that. So the next thing that I like to do, and I've been doing this for about the last year, is using discussion forums for face-to-face classes. This has become even more valuable as my class time for this particular course has been reduced to 50 minutes, and I have 25 students in a class. And we want to have deep, engaging discourse. And how do you do that with 25 people, you know, in just a few minutes each day? So I start a post, and I give the students the specific criteria for posting in this section. We are studying social issues and civil discourse, how to engage with people who have ideas different than us in a public way, in a professional and respectful way. And so I do have some reminders here, and I've used a graphic to kind of emphasize, hey, this is really important. This is an important part of this dialogue. And it is something that it's an ongoing discourse. So this isn't like a one-time thing. We return to this over and over again. And you'll see students really engaged. I'm going to scroll through this just to give you an idea of how engaged these students are in this dialogue and how recursive it is. They come back. This is not, you can see over here how far I am into this, right? This is something, and these are, 90% of this is student-led discourse. I'm chiming in with some prompts or some further questions sometimes, but this is all student discourse happening here. And so I think a lot of times we relegate discussion forums to online teaching, but I feel like in my experience, there is definitely a place for them in face-to-face classes as well. It gives students a chance. And this is also useful because I do a project-based course, so we're working on something continually. And so this is also a place where they can return to. When you have discussions in class, you might have some really great ideas that come up, but 6 weeks later, maybe you've forgotten some of those things. This is kind of an archive of things that we've thought about and talked about, and some different perspectives that we can return to. So I really enjoy doing that, and my students seem to as well. It doesn't take much prompting to get them to go back in there. And again, if you like that idea and you're not already familiar with how to set up a discussion post, you can click on this link, and this will take you right to the discussion section of the Canvas orientation that everyone has access to. And these are all of your different options for how you might set up. In my class, this is a graded discussion, but they don't have to be for your class. That's up to you. All right, any questions about that? All right. And finally, I'll move on to one final thing that I love. I don't know if this is in the, the campus orientation. I haven't found it. I have to give credit to Nick Sailstrom from the Beatrice campus for sharing this idea with me, but I absolutely love it. We see it used in the campus orientation. It's on this third page, and that is where we see the tabs, right? A project or a page broken up into tabs like this, right? We see it happening in campus orientation, but I haven't seen the actual directions for how to do it. And so Nick shared the code with me, and it really is just that simple. There's a code, and I have it on the Padlet. You can create a page. Actually, I'll walk you through it real quick because it doesn't take very long. But this is a writing project, and because I emphasize process a lot, there's a lot of steps, and that can be really overwhelming for students to see this long list of steps. So breaking it up into pieces where they have a few things to do at a time, and they're also doing it in a logical order, right, helps them. So again, I have a brief summary here of what the project will be like, and a very brief basic overview of what those steps will consist of. Okay, I'm trying to keep it bite-sized at this point. And then within the tabs, I have broken it up. So here they're getting introduced to narrative writing, descriptive writing, what those things are. Starting to experiment with some vivid, thick descriptive writing in a discussion forum, a very low stakes assignment where they can kind of whet their palate with this type of thing, and it feels safe to experiment. And then they'll shift to part 2. And so this is where they're annotating their actual instructions, seeing the rubric, creating an outline or some sort of graphic organizer to plan their writing. I'm giving them tips based on things that I know students usually get hung up with at this point. And then telling them to go ahead and start their first draft before they move on to part 3. Part 3, so you can see I have these things kind of organized by theme. We're doing pre-writing in part 1. We're doing planning and organizing in part 2. And part 3, we are doing let's get some feedback. Let's get some other sets of eyes on our work. And so that's going to be peer feedback. It's going to be feedback from me. I had smart thinking in my global navigation for this course, but I still go ahead and link it in here. So kind of that change I was talking about doing for the spring with my module overview, I've experimented with it doing this. So everything is linked within these sections, and students are actually working in this right now. They are in part 4 of this right now, and it's been pretty seamless. So that is encouraging to me.
Are you able to add like discussions and such on each of the parts?
A discussion?
Yeah, like the discussion after that. I see it's linked there, but can it be?
I don't think so, because you have to create, if you want it to be graded, I know you have to create a discussion in either assignments or discussions in order to do that. And this is a page.
So just hyperlinked in that.
Yeah, so I just hyperlink it. I'm not saying there isn't a way, I'm just saying that I don't know it. And then, part 4 is wrapping that up and using how to use that feedback, how to use smart thinking feedback to revise, how to use Turnitin, because this is their first time doing that, where to submit, and then taking them through to the end of that process, which is reflection, which I think is not unique to English, right? We have whenever we're thinking about how to engage learners, we want some pre-thought, we want some schema activation, we want some development, some low stakes practice, we want to do some serious practice, and then we want to reflect on that process and look back and see how we might improve next time or what our strengths are. So that's kind of how I organized this particular one. So I'm going to show you, I have the instructions here, but I'm going to walk you through it. But essentially, it all starts right here. You just copy, whoops, I don't want to move it, I want to copy it. Just let me copy it, thank you. So it's a long code though. just gonna copy it. I'm gonna go to this class, go to pages. Gonna add a page, give it a title. I'm going to switch from the HTML editor to the, or I'm going to, you're actually, let me be more clear. When you are in this box, which is where we normally are operating, right, when we're filling in information, this is actually the rich content editor. That's what this is called. So to switch to the code, where you're going to use code, you're going to click on the HTML editor. So I will switch to that. I will go in, I will paste it. It's just going to look like a bunch of nonsense. I'm not going to touch anything while it's in code because I'm not a coder. So, and just hitting delete in the wrong place or anything can really mess it all up. So leave it as it is and then go back and switch back to your rich content editor. And then you will see the instructions. So it doesn't quite look like tabs yet, but now you can continue to edit it in the way that you normally would. So you will highlight and just kind of type whatever your summary or enter images or videos or whatever you want up there. And then where it says tab 1, tab 2, tab 3, tab 4, don't delete, okay? Don't backspace, but you can highlight it and you can change it so that it has a different name, but you don't want to backspace it because this is actually coded to become a tab. So while you can rename it, you don't want to alter it in any way other than just the name. And then where it says start of tab 1 content, again, you're going to highlight that and start entering what you want here. So let's see if I want to add a picture here real quickly. Okay. I'm going to do one in tab 2 the same way. So I can type after that picture. I can do whatever I want after that picture as long as I don't mess with this until I'm ready.
What do you want, 3 tabs or 5 tabs?
You can change that, but you'll need to look in your code. So when you have it in the HTML editor, if you kind of look at it, you'll see where the tabs break.
Okay.
And then you'll just copy that and you'll change it so it says tab 5 or delete the one that says tab 4.
Okay.
It takes just a minute to think like a coder when you're seeing it, but you'll see the rhythm of the code.
Got it.
But yeah, I have done that as well.
So it's not something you would do on this screen where you could just delete where it says tab 4?
No, I would do it in the code. Yeah. So here I can say tab 2 info. That's all I'm going to do for now, just so that I can show you what that looks like. So here it is. Tab 1, tab 2 starts there, tab 3. There's the one where I changed the title of that tab. Okay, so you can experiment with it. I don't mean to make it sound like it's a scary thing at all. I just learned from my own experience that if you inadvertently change this code in any way, it's going to change what happens. But if you get on the canvas and you'll see on this side, you'll see where it says, right, it has the H3, tab 3, you see the rhythm, and then here's tab 4 and the rhythm, and then the divider. So if I wanted to add another tab, I would copy this and I would add it at the end of that, and then I would just change that number to 5.
So it starts with the caret H3, okay, not the stuff above it, it's the stuff below it.
Right.
Got it.
That's what I would do. Does that sound good, Chris?
Yes.
That's what I've done from experimenting. That's how I figured out how to alter it. But the first time you experiment with it, I would just use the code the way it is so you can get a feel for it before you
Figure out how to use 4 tabs.
yeah, or figure out how to use 4 tabs, yes. Or instructional design, I am sure could make the code with 5 or 3 or whatever you need and send you the code so that you don't have to do that. I'm sure that they would be happy to do that, but it's not super hard to figure out on your own if you have the time to do that. So again, you'll keep access to this, so you can, if there's anything that was interesting to you, you can definitely return to this. Do you guys have any other questions about the tabs? No? All right, well, I will sign out of here. Thank you.
Amy, I have one more question.
Yeah.
Mine.
Mhm.
I'm not an instructor, so it might be an odd question for me to ask, but graded discussion versus non-graded discussion. How do you grade a discussion? Is it the number of posts? Is the richness of what they post? Like,
So,
grade it?
well, that's up to you, but for me, I have certain criteria. They need to respond to 2 peers within 2 days. I have discussion guidelines, and so that needs to be significant, substantial feedback. So it can be posing a different perspective. It can be elaborating on something that someone else has said. It can be asking a question, a probing question that invites more discourse. Some of those things. It can be giving writing style and voice feedback, but it has to be significant. And I do even have a rubric if I need it to work with students to make sure that discussions are rich and engaging and not just, perfunctory activities.
Yeah, okay, great.
Exactly, yeah, like I have to do this to get a grade, right? No. It takes a little bit of prompting in the very beginning, but then once they get what it is you're asking them to do and that it isn't just meaningless, right? They see the value that comes from those discussions, then they're eager, they're totally willing to engage in that. So,
That's great.
yeah, I think instructor presence on a discussion forum is important too. I think when they see that you're in there and you are part of the discourse and not in an authoritarian way, but really just trying to engage in the dialogue and the ideas, they rise to that occasion. I think that it makes them feel like they're part of something, kind of like in the classroom would be.
And it, just because I'm not as familiar with the campus, but do you get a notification that someone has posted a discussion, or is that just you telling yourself to consistently go back to it to see?
So you can, if it's a graded one, you will get that reminder on the side of your homepage of things to grade, right? If it's a graded discussion, like here's a grade free speech and hate speech in America summary response discussion. So it's a reminder to me. But you can also subscribe. So if I want to know every time someone posts here, I can subscribe. Where did it go? There it is. So I can subscribe or unsubscribe. And I have my subscriptions set up so that I get a reminder about once a week for each different discussion board because I have different classes doing it. And every post would be a bit much for me, but I am subscribed so that I know students are active and to go check. So I have kind of those 2 ways of reminding myself to get on there and see what's happening.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you. Next, yes.
While we're waiting for this to log in, my name's Amy. I am sort of new faculty in the LPN program, so Licensed Practical Nursing. So I started about a year ago right now. So I got to learn all of Moodle. And then I had to do all the Canvas training. As I was learning how to be a new teacher. So my brain was kind of ready to explode when I learned that I had to do this Canvas training and there was no way out of it. And I'd already completed my master's, and so this felt a little bit like redoing it in a few short weeks. So I was kind of grumpy, and I apologize to all my coworkers. That being said, there's two teachers that teach in the second half of LPN. So she and I are teaching the last quarter for this current cohort. So we had to transfer everything out of Moodle into Canvas for one quarter, and now it's never going to be used again because we redid our entire curriculum from scratch. Do you guys use Firefox mostly? That's what I tend to use for, that seems to be, I use Chrome at home, but it seems that Firefox works better here.
You get it, double click it up there.
There it goes. Computers don't like me, so, and I also have to get into it this way, so don't laugh, okay? There's no other way for me to find it. It doesn't work any other way. No, it's not even coming up correctly. We'll just do it this way, see if it works. I have to remember, which times do I use the at southeast? Sure, let's save it. Sure, let's save it again. I created a lot of stuff in my shell and then transferred it into the one that we're just using for this quarter. But I don't think, but then I created new stuff. So we'll see what's in my shell versus what's in the new one. Okay, so before I went to nursing school, when I was in my late 30s, I was a graphic designer. So part of my wanting to do a good job with this comes from the graphic design kind of background, that I want things streamlined and look nice, and I want it to look a certain way. And also because I co-teach with Erin, she and I wanted to set up our pages similarly so that we have one group, and so that they know, and they're only going to use Canvas as one quarter too. So we wanted to set up things similarly so that they would know where to go look for stuff and how to find stuff for every week. So we set up our modules pretty much the same. So we have our first week of stuff was health promotion. And so we have the prep. So it's what they're expected to do before they come to class. And then whatever we're going to do in class, usually there would be an assignment between class review and then review. So that would be, usually it's a Quizlet or a Kahoot game or something that we have set up the same in everything. So prep, class, assignment, review. Not every single one of our concepts is done in class face-to-face. So in those cases, those modules look similar still, but then there's no prep. It's just class. Class happens to be at home in your living room in your pajamas. That's fine, I don't care. It's still what they're expected to do for class. So prep, I always made everything look the same again, where they have their learning outcomes and then watch this voiced over PowerPoint to kind of give them the basic knowledge and information. And then when they come to class, we'll do an activity that applies that information. So we did this activity during class. I think it was a graded assignment, but it was basically if you were here, if you participated, you get the points, basically. There were a couple of assignments that I made that I thought were kind of cool. The mobility one. And honestly, I don't know if I could tell you how I created this. It was part of my Canvas training class, and it said, you need to create this, and this is how you start. And I had a case study that someone had used in years previous. And so basically I turned a paper copy of that case study into this. And so you type in what your question is, you can type in your 4 answers to pick from, you can tell the computer which one is correct, and then the students go through and they can do the questions, and it grades it automatically, except for things like if I have a couple of, okay, so this one was kind of fun too. They have to place their orders in the priority of what they would do, what is the priority you would do first, second, third, fourth. So they just rearrange, they slide it up and down to rearrange the orders. And then there's fill in the blanks. So those are ones then, once they've submitted their case study, it grades it, but it's kind of a false grade. So it gives them like only 8 points instead of the full 20, because I haven't gone through to grade it. So you put in the right answer, but sometimes you can put in like 3 or 4 different options for an answer, because depending on if they put a comma in the right place or if they free type 2400 mLs, well, it's going to count that wrong because I didn't put that in one of my answer options. So you can go through and regrade it and give them credit for those because they didn't do the math correctly. You can type in rationales on what the correct answer is and why that's the right answer, so that when you do go through and grade it, they can see that feedback. Not only did I get it incorrect, but why did I get it incorrect? So there's just, I think, 25 questions that I made, 24, and then they submit. And then, like I said, it gives them a grade, but then I have to go through and grade everything. So that was kind of a fun assignment.
So it's not a quiz?
It's counted, it's titled a quiz, but it's not. I just counted it as 25 points as a regular assignment.
But you created it in quizzes?
Yeah, I believe so. Like I said, it was done when I was it was my sink or swim time. I don't really remember how I created it, but I think it was.
I think you create a quiz and you drop it in assignments.
Is that what it was?
I think so. I'm just trying
I was gonna say, do they have to press a button that says start quiz or anything like that? I'm just curious, because I've been trying to do assignments, and every time I do it, it comes in as a quiz, and I get students breaking out. So they're like, why is it showing it as a quiz?
Right, that's just language. It's
Yeah.
just freaking out. Yeah.
Just a graded activity, all of that.
Right, I know, yeah, and some of that, I wish we could change some of that language in Canvas, but some of that's out of our control.
Yeah.
Is what I keep hearing, so. Let's see, and I also can't figure out how to get back to my modules except to start at the beginning. So I'm not sure why someone thought I was going to be great at showing you guys how I did this, because I sort of just stumble around. And then I gotta find the right, there it is, master. I do, I've had several discussion boards. What was one of them that was good? Oh, this is the other mobility one. I had it as a round robin. So you can do a discussion board where they have to post, but they can't see anybody else's post until they post, which, sort of helps prevent any like, oh, that's a good idea, I should say that too. Those kinds of things. But in this case, I had them be able to do a discussion board, but I called it a round robin discussion board. So they had to watch a few videos in YouTube and then everybody had to answer the first 4 questions. And then they answered the 5th question. I posted the first question. The first person to post in the discussion board answered the question as I posed it, and then they modified the question. And so then the person after them answered their question and then modified the question for the next person to ask. So I explained it in the directions, but then I sort of had to talk about it in class because people weren't quite understanding. But it ended up being a pretty robust discussion board. I was really happy and excited with all the different ways they thought about how to ask a question about mobility related to something else, because that was what they're, so how does a spinal cord injury impact, and I said mental health. And so we got things from family dynamics, from elimination, from coping, to sex life. We had a wide gamut of different, and we only have 15 students in this cohort, so we didn't have any repeats because there were only that many students, and so there was only so many body systems you could really go through. But we had really, it was a really fun way to do the discussion board, I thought, this time. There's been questions too about how to do rubrics. When I did the Canvas training class, there were a lot of really good examples on rubrics, and from super simple, like you can have either 0 points, 1 point, or 2 points, and then you can give them answers on or feedback on why they only got 0, 1, or 2 points, to like some of mine are a little bit more substantial. I can't think of which. Let's see, this is. I'm drowning this quarter too, you guys, so bear with me as I think about which things have rubrics. I don't even have a regular grade book over right there. So this is an assignment I made where they had to watch this video and answer some questions. And I did create a rubric in this case. Oops, because I wanted some decent answers. I like being able to see the rubric as I'm grading too. Don't let me pull it over. There we go. And so you can mark in here how many points you're going to give. And you can type, you only gave me a 2-word answer, but it was worth 10 points. So it's not really robust enough kind of thing. So, and then you save it and they can see your answers too.
Is there a rubric tab?
Yes, so when you're creating, oops, oh dang it. When you are
to feed onto that question, once you have a rubric set up that you like, is there a way to copy that rubric to other assignments?
I think so. I don't know the answer to how.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it where it's like, where you can import a rubric. I think if you save it on a page, then you can use that same page or copy that page.
Well, I think you title the rubric when you create it, or I think you can ask to use the same rubric.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll come up, and then all your classes will come up and ask which class. So it saves it in a rubric file.
You can also
Okay, and then
export
can you
stuff.
use it in, right now I'm teaching 2 sections of the same class, so I can use it, take it from one class to the other.
Yeah, you can take like the identical assignment and put it out to the Commons, and then you can import that, and you assign that into multiple classes with the same rubric.
All right, thank you.
Is there any like kind of assignment that anybody wants to see? Anything specific that you're?
I feel like they talked a little bit about your visual, do you have like a visual of a lung or a liver or something?
I don't.
When someone said that to me, but it could have been somebody else in an email chain. Just from the clinical nursing side, like a visual element that was
Right.
pulled in, is what I was thinking, but.
I don't think in Canvas I've done anything like that, because most everything's done like in the classroom, like in the face-to-face stuff. We'll do a lot of activities where we do in the face-to-face stuff, but I haven't put tons of stuff in Canvas yet. Just because one of the reasons is because we're only using this the one time, and I didn't want to put tons of, assignments, and I have the exams and their prep and stuff, and I'm kind of in survival mode. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything from anybody else? No?
Anyone? Me? No last?
You're up.
All right.
Is it okay with you guys if I have a poor taste and I go grade? Thank you.
Is that her sweater?
It is, I'll grab that for her. Thank you.
Let me see those glasses again.
I know.
Oh, yeah. They have a little magnet and they keep me from losing. I used to have a pile of glasses that were lost. Now I have one pair. And thank you. Okie dokie. Let's see how this works here. Nice, that showed up. Man, it's like I've been here before. All right, cool. One of these buttons. So I guess I got to start it. Let's see where it goes. Oh, geez, show me what I will spend time maybe. Where's my? Is not going to get it right there? I guess not. Okay, so he's supposed to say meow. That's, he says it really aggressively, but it's captioning, and that's kind of the theme of why I'm here today. We've got two subjects to talk about. One is the One Button Studio, but the main subject that we're going to talk about is captioning in Kaltura. And Kaltura is more commonly known as My Media in your Canvas courses. And the good news is we now have captioning. In the past, that was something that we had to request on a one-on-one basis. It took time and effort, and it was kind of a chore. But we've got all of our ducks in a row. We've talked to Kaltura now, and this is an automated process going forward. So we don't necessarily have to do that the way we used to. So what we'll talk about today is how do I caption? How do I edit? Are there other options as far as other languages out there? Okay, and we'll do the first one here. How do I add captions? Chris, I peeked. I went ahead and looked at the schedule. I knew we were going to be talking about captions. I went into My Media. There's nothing there. There's no caption button. There's no, I don't know what you're talking about. There's no way of doing captions I'm looking at my screen here. I've right-clicked, I've left-clicked, I don't see any options. That's okay. That's one of the older videos, and that is something that you can request going forward. So that's the request option that I'm talking about. If you are a longtime employee and you've been using your media from Kaltura, you may have hundreds of videos in there in the past that you've used. You're not going to see captioning by default. That's the request option. So I'll show you how to do that. Let's see if it's this one. It's not that one. It's this one. Nope, it's this one. Okay, so here's my Canvas course. I'm just going to pick any old course. I'm going to go down to my media. And I see my videos here. And I'm actually going to pick an old one, so I'm going to switch this here. There we go. I'll just pick this. Here's a video. This is actually the one that's in the PowerPoint, I think. There's no captioning there. Underneath where you have a drop-down option for actions, there is now a captions request option. Okay, you'd click on that, and you would make the request by clicking on submit. That's by default, that's going to be an automated process that's done by computers. There's a possibility they might not get it right. According to Kaltura, it's about 80 to 85% accuracy. So there's a possibility that editing will need to occur after the fact. But for a lot of situations, it's okay. It depends on the subject, though. And we can talk about that as an example. But you do have a second option, which is, besides machine, you can do professional captions. And I will say that the professional captions options is something that gets sent to our department, and we will, of course, get that turned around as quickly as possible. There's a budget involved, and if by chance we look at a situation where we're using all of our budget to do captions on a larger scale, then we'll probably address that and get that handled separately. But this is another option, is the professional manner. This is going to be done by a human. It's a longer turnaround process. But these drop-down options are sort of self-explanatory as far as how quickly you can get the captions back to you. So here's an old one. I'm not going to do professional. I'm actually going to do machine and click on submit. And when I do that, I click on the button and should submit. I'll just click it because that always works. Okay, so there it is. There's my orange bar. Captions were already, I clicked it plenty of times. Okay, so there it is, caption request, and now right above that I see a pending notification telling me in the near future your captions are going to show up for this video. That is how you would request captions for old videos. Okay? You're welcome. Okie dokie. So, Chris, I saw your video on how to do the captions. I created a bunch of math videos. I just happened to be in my car when I did it, and I said Pythagorean theorem a bunch of times. The captions comes out, just says pi, Hogwarts, serum. I don't get it. I don't want it to say that. Can we change it so that it says the actual word correctly? How do we do that? Okay, that's easy. So if you go back to your course and choose the right tab, you can click on a demo. Here's a video that I have created earlier. It has captions in it. Hit the right tab and make it bigger. Like that. There we go. Check, test, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, go. Test, 1. Let me stop it real quick. Here, right about here. This is not sized correctly, but that has to do with this media card. Yeah, this is not right. What happened here? Maybe I can change. There we go. Okay, we'll do 90%. When a video has been captioned, you'll have an extra button within the media player. The CC button or closed caption button. You can click on it. If you have a bunch of captions, they'll all be listed here. This is actually, I was testing this earlier because I knew I was going to be doing a demo on this, so I added an extra set of captions. That's what the Spanish captions is, but by default, we requested English captions, and when we were to, if we were to click on this, we should see the option of English captions by default. And we do. We see them show up on the video. There's all of our captions right there showing up. 2, 3, 4, ABC, monkey, elephant, banana. What? Banana? Check, test, 1, 2, 3, 3. He says lemon. Okay, yeah, so we have a mistake there, and now we need to correct that. So how would we go about correcting that mistake? Well, you would do that by changing, man, this is not sized correctly. Let me see if I can fix this again. I'm missing buttons on the right side there. Tell you what, let's see, well, let's try Chrome. All right, that looks a little better. Here's my media. Here's my video. No. That's weird. Okay. So what we're going to do, or I should point out, this is a video that's been captioned. We can see the captions underneath it right here. This is not a part where you don't edit this part here. You can click on it, but that's not actually the editable part. You'll actually have to go back down to the Actions button and click on Edit. And when you click on Edit, you'll have a bunch of tabs. Scroll again here and click on Captions. This is all been sized oddly, so you'll have to forgive me on this. I can do it this way. It's pretty close. Yeah, yes and no. All right, there's our captions. No, that's not right. There we go. All right, there's all of our tabs lined up the way it looks like on my desktop, and probably your laptops as well, or desktops on your computer. These tabs are usually lined up like this. Click on the Captions tab, and then you would see your captions listed there. There is a edit icon that you would click on, and it should bring up a, oh geez, that's the wrong one. Option, excuse me, I did click on the wrong one there. Delete, not delete. that backwards. I messed that up. All right, let me go back to another my media here. So instead of the edit button, what I meant to say was the captions request button, okay? It's the captions request button, but it's the same icon. It's that pencil icon. And it should bring up a pop-up window with your captions. These are the Spanish captions that we did. So if I wanted to, I could edit those. There's banana in Spanish. So I changed that earlier and then click save up there. So again, if you wanted to edit your captions after they were done, you would click on the video, My Media, and it could be any video. And I'm going to go click on an earlier one here. Here's some captions that I have. I'm going to go over to Actions. And I'm going to click on the Captions request. That's where the pencil button is. And it should take me to my captions, and it breaks it down so that it is time-stamped. And what's nice about that is if I searched for keywords, I knew that audio was in there, and I knew audio was wrong, I could replace it with some other word that sounded like audio. I don't know what sounds like audio. It's like orange. I don't know, orange. Just change it to show you replace, and there it replaced it in the captions. And you could click on that and it would save and show up the next time it updates in the captions. So, okay, quick little video. I am checking to see if the video is going to record my audio and my face, and go, stop. And there's cars, so there's so it worked. And that is how you edit your captions.
So is that the only way, is to do that search for a word and replace, or can you actually go into each line?
I just went through every place, because like I had a video that it was for Appendix C, point 2.
Yeah.
And literally you spelled out Appendix C, point, and then TO for every single mention of the section.
Yeah.
And I just went through and literally just line by line changed a few things. I was like, okay, thank you. This, yeah, math teacher here. Yeah.
Yes.
Captions are fun.
Yes, captions are fun, and science. You guys love it.
Yeah.
So the only other option that we have, I'm gonna get back to my PowerPoint, I might as well. Hey, look, oh, that was it. Oh, let's see if it'll do it again. Just, no, well, sorry everybody, I'm just, okay, get to the next one, captions, keep it going here. All right, the last one is, are there any other languages that we can add? There are, it's only Spanish. And actually, if I show you real quick, go back to my media. I'm going to pick on a video here, and I'm going to click that same actions button, and rather than do it in my captions request in English, I've got a drop-down menu for Spanish. So you can choose Spanish ones. Now, what I found testing this today is that they want you to speak Spanish. This isn't a translation. This is them listening to you to see if you are speaking Spanish, and they will translate it. I thought it was they won't translate it. They will try and transcribe what you are trying to say. So in the video that I tested on, I was speaking English. I was that test 1, 2, 3 video, and did the request to do Spanish translations, and what came back was mumbo jumbo. It was not the Spanish words that were associated. It wasn't the translated words from English. It was transcribed words. The computer was trying to think that I was speaking Spanish, but I wasn't. So keep that in mind when you go to order that. And the last one is the One Button Studio. Any other questions about, before I get to the One Button Studio, questions about the captioning? It's pretty self-explanatory. It's, the Actions button, caption request. That's the whole thing. The other thing that we have to demo is the One Button Studio. Down in U7, we have a new facility that is able to record. It's a small recording studio, if anybody is interested in using that, feel free to contact me. My email address is listed there on the screen.
What do you mean by recording? Just audio or video, both, what?
Yep, both. It's basically that silver button right there. You walk into the room, you hit that button, all the equipment turns on automatically, gives you a countdown timer, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're recording. And you hit the button to stop it, and I can show you an example here.
That's
So
pretty awesome.
let's cancel out of this.
Because I teach apps, and if I wanted to show students how to do something in Excel where I was talking and showing them something on the screen at the same time, what would be the best tool to accomplish that?
I would use the Kaltura capture option.
Okay.
So from within My Media, if you choose one of the Add New over here, there's Kaltura capture. And what this is a program that gets installed on your machine if it's not already installed. You may have it installed on a network device already, like it is on this machine. And it's going to want a webcam and a microphone. And we're kind of playing this by ear.
Actually, if you're doing screen capture, I don't think it needs a webcam.
No, it doesn't need a webcam, but for his situation, he was saying he was going to demo. But you wanted to do both screen capture and yourself, right?
Them to see what I'm doing on screen, but hear me at the same time.
Oh, okay, so video is not necessary in that regard.
Okay.
All
right, cool.
But once you do that, you just click there. You've got these options over here for what you would show. Here's this desktop would show up kind of thing. It's a little clunky right now because we're already doing video on this thing, so we can't see anything. But if you were to try this on your computer, and I can give you a demo in your office later and stuff. But that'll record directly to My Media. Go right into your account, and then you can just link it to your course afterwards.
So but you said the One Button Studio is in U7.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, here is Hi, everybody. I'm in the One Button Studio, and I wanted to demo one of the ways that you can give a presentation. So I wheeled in the portable cart, and it's just a big TV, and we've got one of our network computers hooked up to it. So I'll just turn that on with the power button. And I went ahead and logged in already. See if I can get this to turn on by hitting the power button. There it goes. I heard it click this time. And now I have my presentation. I've started my PowerPoint already. I can go ahead and launch it. And if I want, I can look at my students by looking directly at the camera and talking to them. And I've got an extra monitor down here in my peripheral view that I can also see. And I can advance my presentation. Get out of the way and show everybody what I got going on. Here's my presentation. I'm going to talk about some skeletal structure here. We've got some bones and everything. So as you can see, this is just a quick example of how you can do a presentation with a PowerPoint from the One Button Studio. This is one example. And then another way you could present is you could have the presentation superimposed behind you while you're talking directly to your students. And while you're doing this, you could have a script on a teleprompter that you're reading. So you wouldn't have to wing it like I'm doing right now. You could have something prepared ahead of time and have the presentation superimposed behind you that you're talking about. Okay, so that's kind of the example that you're referring. Okay.
So when it's superimposed, you don't see it? Do you see it? Like if it's superimposed behind you, do you see it? Or is it like a weather guy who's a blank screen and you just kind of have to pretend where you're pointing?
That's a good question. Let's see. Well, in that situation, what you would do if you were going to put the PowerPoint behind you, that wheelie cart with the TV on it, I would just slide that in the same side as the camera so that that's what you were looking at.
Okay.
You'd still have the clicker in your hand.
Okay.
But
it'd be like a weather guy that it's, blue screen behind you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So in that scenario, is there a color you shouldn't wear? Just asking.
Yes, blue.
Okay.
It's a blue screen.
Right.
We went with Sony Blue.
Check.
There is research out there that you've got basically two. The green screen is what the common term is, green screen. But there's two industry standards, green and blue. Green ends up being more difficult to use on people with blonde hair because the green shines off of their hair and then you end up cropping off part of their head. So we went with blue.
I just thought I'd ask him, like, it would be my luck to show up wearing like a bright blue sweater the day that I'm going to record a floating head.
And then there's the floating head, sure. Yeah.
Cats and Harry Potter fun though with that.
Mm-hmm. So that's all I've got. Feel free to contact me. Either 2865 is my phone number. You can email me at ccummins@southeast.edu. I'll shut all this off. Everybody have a good weekend.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing.